Can men still grow taller after 20 years old? Jinwoo did not answer his sister, but he said, "You should bring an umbrella." Jinho didn't think it would rain, so he was about to refuse, but Jinwoo turned her around and put the umbrella in his bag, then said goodbye to his sister. After his sister left, Jinwoo turned to look at the system board with 10 kilometers left to run. It seemed like he had to run immediately to catch up with the mission. Jinwoo looked at his body and couldn't believe that after just a few weeks of training, his muscles and physical condition had improved so quickly, meaning the system board directly affects your body. He finally understood that as his stats increased, his body would change to adapt to it. Quietly looking at the system board, Jinwoo thought he should add more points to his strength, imagining, what happens if I keep putting points in? But he was always bored. If damage increases but is not stable, other stats will be imbalanced. Jinwoo thought about adding a little agility. It seemed like a good plan. While thinking about where to add points, a phone call came in. He picked up the phone and answered it. At first, Jinwoo thought it was the Hunter Association calling, but it turned out it was the landlord coming to demand money because he rented the house, but still don't have money to pay the fee. If you don't pay now, do you need the other person to postpone it until next month? Jinwoo thanked him and he said he would try to pay as soon as possible. Holding the phone in Jinwoo's hand, he thought about double awakening. If you are truly an awakened person, it means you can make money faster than before. If Jinwoo develops at his current rate, he will quickly become one of the top hunters, those who kill monsters and make money. The more experience you have, the higher your rank will be, the more money you have, the more valuable the magic crystals you drop will be. To defeat a high-level monster, we need to enter a gate of corresponding height. Therefore, a lot of competition for D-rank or E-rank gates is the biggest competition because the majority of low-ranked hunters participate. Because of this, E-rank hunters are often not accepted by the guild, and even if they are, finding a job is very difficult. Jinwoo's guild is rank E and he himself has never had experience participating in events other than rank D. This is truly an unthinkable thing for him. The chosen person is based on ability, so Jinwoo cannot escape the title of the world's weakest hunter. He looked at the news on TV and didn't know if he should prove himself in front of everyone or not. If you prove your strength, you will definitely earn more money, but on the contrary, there will also be greedy eyes following you. Looking jealous at how Jinwoo could do those things, Jinwoo finally decided not to let anyone know until he could protect himself. Having said that, Jinwoo looked at the phone and thought, first of all, I have to make money first. It would be better if I could join an attack force. Then suddenly a notification appeared on Jinwoo's phone. The scene changes to a certain construction site. Jinwoo is slowly approaching a group of hunters. An onlooker warmly introduces Jinwoo that his name is Wong Dong-su. Jinwoo also said his name. The other guy asked if Jinwoo is E-rank, right? You don't object, you're right. Suddenly a curly-haired guy in the group pointed towards Jinwoo. I know you, you're quite a famous person. What's his nickname? The world's weakest hunter. The guy on the other side burst out laughing when he heard that. The guy then patted Jinwoo on the shoulder and told the other two to stop their actions. The most important thing was still the numbers. After saying that, he walked over and gave Jinwoo a piece of paper with 2 million won in money to fill in the number of members. Jinwoo will be exempted from fighting because this is outside C rank. He then invited Jinwoo to sign this paper. Jinwoo looked at the situation. There were 5 C ranks here. The remaining 4 people were the lowest, also D ranks. There are some rules when participating other than C rank, which is that there must be at least 10 members and half of them must be C rank or higher. Therefore, in these cases, only numbers can form an attack force. Jinwoo's participation is just enough troops. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a guy approached him. Jinho, a 22-year-old rank who was also called in like Jinwoo. Hearing that, he returned the formal greeting. Looking at the guy's body, equipped with all the flashy things, he didn't know which billionaire's son he was. Jinwoo approached and asked the captain what his mission was. He happily replied, just follow and take care of their luggage for them. Inside are all food, clothes as well as medical equipment. Jinwoo was surprised and asked why they didn't bring a healer with them. The captain also explained that it was difficult to find a healer hunter for an individual force, so they always did it this way. Hearing that, Jinwoo sobbed. A force made up of only tanks and damage dealers was truly too mixed. Jin Wu held the contract and read the rules, including a line that said I would not blame anyone for any accident in the dungeon, which was hard to accept when they didn't bring a healer. The two guys just now urgently said, "Let's go because they'll take them all down anyway. So there's no need to explore much," the captain happily replied. "It's time to enter the dungeon." The D-rank guy from earlier reached out to Jin Wu and said, "Don't worry, he will protect you." That afternoon they headed inside, Jin Wu dejectedly carrying his bag and following behind them. The guy from earlier came forward to tell Jin Wu about the incident where the director of this construction site had just run away with 9 billion won, so the investors and workers were facing difficulties. Jin Wu over here silently thought, "Why would he say that to me?" The other guy continued to say, "Is the bag heavy? Do you need help?" Jin Wu refused the guy's help, showing that he could carry it himself. It is also thanks to the strength index that all these items still do not harm Jin Wu. The guy next to him said he didn't need to be so polite, but is Jin Wu usually this quiet? Jin Wu turned and said, "On the contrary, he is the one who talks a lot." The other guy heard that and shyly replied, "Is my talking too much bothering you? People normally don't pay much attention to me." After a while of walking, they finally reached the entrance to the dungeon. Everyone was surprised because this gate was quite large, more unusual than a normal C-rank gate. The captain here says to the person next to him, "Don't you believe the instructions the association gave us? I've seen people go in and out of this place many times." The guy next to Jin Wu was starting to get scared. He had never seen such a big gate. Jin Wu turned bewildered and asked, "Is this your first time?" Here Jin Wu says the size of the gate is not important. What matters is the magical energy flowing from inside. The association determines the quantity and quality of magical flow, which in turn gives a ranking to the dungeon. A large guild is only interested in dungeons of B rank or higher, and dungeons lower than C rank will not pose a danger. However, this was also the first time Jin Wu entered a C rank dungeon. The captain volunteered to enter first. The other D rank guy in the back raised his sword with a serious expression. "Clear, dear sir. Jin Wu here is so stupid that D ranks and E ranks like him usually can't make much money, can only collect weapons, and can't even have a protective shield. Why can a D rank like him equip so many good items?" He looked around at them, considering that everyone was well equipped. This group must have earned a lot of money. It was completely different from the D and E dungeons that Jin Wu had participated in. The captain said that this road was quite good, so he asked his friend Yu Wan to create some light. After the fire broke out, they were surprised because they didn't see any monsters. It's strange that this place doesn't have any light. Normally there would be a few glowing stones. The other D-rank guy turned to ask Jin Wu if there were dungeons without monsters, but Jin Wu signaled him to be quiet. Jin Wu uses his sensitive hearing like a hunting dog to examine the situation. If there was no light, it meant that the monsters here liked to live in the dark. It wasn't that there were no monsters, but that they hadn't appeared yet. Normal monsters would have a hard time surviving in a dungeon without any light, but if they were more intelligent, it meant they weren't dependent on their senses. They live in herds, survive in the dark, and are attracted to streams of light. Hearing some sound, Jin Wu immediately announced that this was an insect-type monster. People who heard that immediately panicked. Everyone was nervous. From where above their heads appeared many dark shadows. They built a circle around them. How many of them were there? Glowing red eyes looked towards the hunters. They were now panicking above us. Quickly use magic to kill them. Knock them down here. The magicians received orders and tried their best to swing magical attacks, causing those insects to shatter. Captain Wong Dong-su raised his shield forward and shouted, "Here are insects. The main attack team should do something." The hunters continuously launched attacks to destroy those monsters. Jin Wu here observed the situation of the C-rank hunters coordinated very well. If so, an attack force can be formed without the need for a healer. The captain is also doing very well, as is the main attack team. They fought each other for a long time. They always went to dungeons without healers, so they were a bit brutal. Jin Wu looked towards Jinho again. He really has a lot of good equipment but lacks technique and experience. Everyone was doing their job well, but suddenly a monster rushed to attack Jin Wu, and he kicked him away. Jin Wu's sad face felt a bit uncomfortable right now. After the battle, the captain immediately asked about their situation. This will take a lot of time. Don't get too excited and adjust the pace. Take the magic crystal we will divide into 9 parts. Everyone was competing for their reward. Captain Wong approached to thank Jinwoo for saving them all, but still wondered how he knew the monsters would appear above, so Jinwoo only paid. Let's just say I can only feel them. He praised Jinwoo's sharp senses. Jinwoo thought to himself that raising his senses made him much sharper. The captain once again felt more grateful that because of Jinwoo they could take them all down. But it would have been better if he didn't pay attention to those little things. From somewhere, someone in the team realized that there were a few monsters that weren't caused by slashes. The team leader thought that someone had come before them or that they were tearing themselves apart. A boss or something. After saying that, his smile was evil and his eyes became strange. I smelled money. Jinwoo noticed the situation and announced, Jinho, your sword and shield are very expensive, aren't they? He confirmed it was correct, because when he heard that he was about to enter the dungeon for the first time, his father prepared very carefully. Jinwoo here said he wasn't sure, but Jinho should be careful. Jinwoo sensed that something bad was about to happen. The size of the dungeon varied, but it did not depend on the rank of the dungeon. Depending on each case, sometimes it takes weeks to analyze the dungeon area, but sometimes it only takes a few hours to reach the boss. This was a maze-like dungeon. They didn't need to fight much, but instead had to walk around and waste a lot of time. Jinwoo's job is to carry things and not get involved. When fighting monsters, earning money without having to kill monsters is a pretty good deal. Watch out for lizards. A warning sounded suddenly. Jinwoo didn't understand why this warning appeared, but one thing he knew was that his hunches were never wrong. After they had been walking for a while, the captain told them that this was the death zone. They had been walking for quite a while, but had not seen any monsters other than where the monsters were earlier. There should have been a boss somewhere. If it weren't for the boss, the gate wouldn't have opened. But then Captain Wong told Wong to light up the entire area. The light was lit, the scene made everyone's skin crawl. The captain's voice rang out, "Oh my God!" The scene was truly horrifying. The spider silk and surrounding monsters were terrifying. They finally realized the boss was right there. Everything was ready. The group of people gradually moved inside. They looked around and said, They are a big batch." Before their eyes were all magical crystals. How much is this? Amazing. A few people came forward to take a look. The monsters were weak, so the crystals dropped were few, but this much still earned quite a bit. At a glance, this place is also 10 million won. The guy next to him replied, "If so, my younger brother would be jealous too." The magician said that he shouldn't remind the captain's younger brother in front of him like that. Captain Wong looked up at the pile of crystals and thought, Wong Dong-su, look, you're not always right. Just because you're up, you have a high jink and dare to ignore your brother. You even abandoned your country to work for the Americans for money. He thought about a lot of other things, but it's too long. Jinho here told Jin Wu. Let him take a closer look at the contract from before. Then he approached the group of people and allowed me to ask this. Leader Wong Dong-su, this is Jin Woo's deal. As you can see here, there is no mention of dividing rewards other than magic crystals from them. Shouldn't monsters be divided into 10 instead of 9? Captain Wong now gave a fake smile. Of course we will divide equally, I know that. He then looked up, but first we have something to take care of. Above is the boss, a super terrorist spider, but it seems like it was full, so it fell asleep. Jinho exclaimed, Dungeon boss. The captain said Jinho should know that once the boss is defeated, the gate will close. So we must dig up and transport the magic crystals out before killing the boss. It was asleep, so this was the perfect opportunity to dig for crystals. He turned to ask the person named Shul Bin, did you bring the tools? He said he was sorry because he didn't expect the magic crystal mine to be in a C-rank dungeon. So he left all his digging tools in the car. Those two guys acted together and finally told Jinwoo and Jinho they should stay here and watch out. They will come back to get the crystal digging tools. Jinho exclaimed, Are we in the boss's lair? The captain immediately replied, It's fine. I don't think it's the type to attack unless you enter its territory first. And it looks like it ate a lot and is sleeping right now. It should be okay for now as long as you don't provoke it. Jinho was about to say more, but Captain Juan interrupted him, saying this is your first time participating in a dungeon. This is also Jin Woo's first time attending a C-rank dungeon. Trust my words. What do you think will happen? When we talk loudly like this, he doesn't even react. After saying that, they left, leaving Jinwoo 2 people behind. Jinwoo looked at their backs as they left and thought, according to the regulations of the C-rank gate, at least 10 people are needed to go through the outer gate. When Yu Jinho and I came out, their team had 8 people. They enter the C-rank portal like this enough for me to guess that they always go to dungeons by calling in outsiders. Of course, there will be no need to add 2 more people to fill the gap. The captain outside finally turned on him and told Ju Wan to block the boss's cave door. The fire flared up and the cave door was immediately blocked. Jinho here panicked. Exit. Jin Wu now realized that those bastards were lizards. The male protagonist then remembered that once while hunting, another hunter told him about these lizards. He said that being a hunter is a quite dangerous profession, so sometimes it will be difficult to find evidence for crimes, so there are a lot of crimes happening here. There are no surveillance cameras here, so no one can stop the hunters. The weaker you are, the easier it is to be thrown away. If you are strong, there will be people looking for you if they think you are useless, and in the way like a lizard throwing away its tail. You will be eliminated. Back to reality, Jinho was now panicking. He was helpless and didn't know what to do. He just stood there cursing those bastards for leaving them behind for these mana crystals. Jinwoo here calmly thought about how to deal with it because if he tried to leave, he would kill him immediately. So that's what he meant at that time. Jinwoo remembers the C-rank magician with the light who seemed very cunning. It was easy for Jinwoo to escape now, but the thing that just woke up from that explosion was the real problem. The scene pans up, a super giant spider bearing its fangs at Jinwoo and Jinho. It is definitely a rank C boss. Outside, after they had escaped, someone asked the captain, "Is it necessary if we kill them there?" Before the words could finish, the captain got angry and shouted, "You idiot! If we fight there and wake up the spider, how can we take away all those crystals?" With the weakest hunter in the world and a rank D guy with absolutely no experience, defeating the boss is impossible. No matter how hard they try after the spider kills them and goes back to sleep, we will deal with those mana crystals. He continued talking about the valuable items on Jinho's person. If you can't kill the boss, you'll still get those valuable items after he dies. Having said that, he sat down to look up Jinho's identity. Whose child are you? You should at least give him a funeral. The magician said. The impact from the wall just now must have made the boss very angry. After a while of questioning, the captain asked the wizard if he was confident enough to solo that boss. He immediately replied, "No way." Captain Juan replied, "Me too. No matter how hard they try, 2 low-rank hunters cannot make it out alive." The scene changes to the inside of the rank C cave. Jinho moved forward to stop the monster in front of him. Jinwoo expressed that he wanted to find a way to protect him, but Jinwoo behind him quietly analyzed the weak points on this crystal spider's body. Its power was judged to be completely different, but then thinking back to the past, that monster boss was stupid when Jinwoo compared it. Jinwoo slowly advanced and told Jinho to step back. He began to summon his dagger. Finally, Jinwoo's battle with the C-rank boss was about to take place. Jinho here tried his best to stop him because he thought Jinwoo was a real rank E, constantly advising him, but not knowing that soon Jinwoo would surprise him. Standing in front of the boss, Jinwoo knew he was still too weak after awakening, but he didn't feel any pressure at all. Compared to that blue poison fangs Rasaka in instant dungeon and those D-rank golems, this spider's power is completely superior. Now Jinwoo thinks he is strong enough to face this C-rank boss. A confident smile appeared on Jinwoo's face. The spider frantically approached Jinwoo, but he was ready to fight. Jinwoo rushed forward and slashed the spider a few times, surprising Jinho. But it seems that the attack just now wasn't really effective. But this Rasaka's fang is really good. Now perhaps the hunt has officially begun. The continuous high-speed movements made Jin cough here and sweat profusely. That really a ranky hunter? After a few fighting moves, the spider seemed to be angry. Every blow is fatal. Its skin is quite thick. If Jinwoo wants to cause damage, he must stab deeply. But the eight-eyed monster has absolutely no blind spots. Its 8 legs are capable of wide-area attacks that can easily penetrate the entire floor. It will take time to get close to it. Jinho here, watching the battle situation, still couldn't understand that there was no way this person could be E rank. But the registration on paper is exactly E rank, but the ability to move at that terrible speed cannot be E rank. Maybe he's an imposter, but the problem is that such imposters are usually psychopaths with a hobby of killing. The more he looked at Jinwoo's fighting style, the more scared Jinho here thought. Why are you so unlucky? Over here, Jinwoo didn't know how long he had been fighting the boss. 5 minutes, no, 10 minutes. His strength seems to be draining over time. So far, Jinwoo hasn't done too much damage with it. The current fatigue level is 57 and the battle cannot be prolonged any longer. Now the only way left is to use the knife's special abilities. Let this spider taste snake poison. Paralysis effect. Attacked enemies will not be able to move. Bleeding effect. Attacked enemies will lose 1% of their health every second. Aiming at the weakest point of every living thing, the head is important, but the weaker one is definitely the eyes. Before he could approach, the poisonous spider continued to spit out mucus. It is the acid pile that corrodes the soil below. I didn't expect this monster to even hide its secret technique. I can't joke around anymore. Jinwoo was really serious now. He started to speed up. Movement speed now increases by 30%. Jin cock here. Mouth wide open. Jinwoo closed the distance with the boss in the blink of an eye. Jinwoo's attack speed is getting faster and faster, but the boss's poison resistance rate is so high that it doesn't cause any difficulty for it at all. On the contrary, Jinwoo's fatigue continued to increase rapidly. Jinho also realized that if he kept going this fast, Jinwoo would be completely exhausted and unable to predict what he would do next. When his fatigue level reached 70, Jinwoo was finally hit by a spider's attack and sent him flying several times. When the spider was about to deliver the finishing blow, Jinwoo remembered that he had completed the daily mission today, so he activated his full recovery state. Then, with extremely fast speed, he stabbed deeply into that monster's eye. This was followed by a series of fatal stabs. The continuous knife effect is finally activated after 999 stabs when the monster has been defeated. Jinho looked at Jinwoo now as a real monster. This person is definitely a false ranker. Then he approached Jinwoo and not only obediently volunteered to carry the luggage, but also gave Jinwoo water to drink, making him suddenly see that Jinho's actions were unusual. Jinwoo also didn't understand why. Maybe it was I think I'm the one who saved my life. Suddenly the group of people came back. Jinwoo looked at them quietly. The captain was surprised that the two of them were still alive and the monster had been defeated. Everyone in that group was surprised when just 2 people defeated a rank C boss. Perhaps Jinho's equipment is very good, but how can it be with a D rank and E rank guy? The captain thought to himself, Jinho, I underestimated you. That useless E rank guy definitely can't help. It must have soloed the boss itself, not knowing what special abilities its equipment has, so it would be quite troublesome if it became an enemy. The captain told Jinho that he had found out his information. Turns out he's the son of a big boss, chairman of Yujin Construction Corporation, Mr. Myong-han. Jinho heard that and asked him, so what? He wanted to discuss something about Jinho's father. They will give Jinho a chance to live if they kill Jinwoo and join his group, otherwise they will kill them both. He tried his best to convince Jinho, but he didn't know what would happen next. Jinho turned to look at Jinwoo. He quietly replied, It's okay, this is inevitable when a weak person like me is betrayed. But in the end, Jinho still decided to point his sword at the group of people, making Captain Huan extremely surprised. The magician next to him asked, What should we do? The captain said to deal with the weakest guy first. They aggressively walked towards the 2 of them. Jinwoo asked, Have you guys ever killed someone? Suddenly the system sounds. An emergency mission is activated. A subject wants to attack the player. Kill them all to ensure safety, otherwise the heart will stop beating and the number to kill is 8. Jinwoo was surprised that the system issued a kill notification when the magician gave him a blow that sent him flying dozens of meters straight into the wall. Jinho turned to worry about Jinwoo's situation, but the captain said, Stop worrying about the dead man. Jinho gritted his teeth and looked at them with hatred in his eyes. You murderers! Jinwoo lay on the rubble. not understanding how in this place only the strong were allowed to survive. That's right. You have been wrong until now. Many times you have clicked this place. Many times you have died and come back to life. Jin Wu finally understood. This is just what this system needs. It doesn't help me get stronger, it just wants me to be strong. This system used you, and now you will use it again. Those guys were surprised because Jin Wu was still not dead after that attack. A hunter asked, "Gyuwon, have your skills degraded? One hit can't kill an E-rank guy." The captain said he should be serious. On the outside, he appeared to agree, but on the inside, he was scared. It was clear that he had used all his strength on that attack. But what the hell happened? Did he miss? Jin Wu is full of murderous intent. You guys have toyed with human lives like that. Are you ready to accept the consequences? A guy who didn't know whether to live or die asked. What did that brat say? Jin Wu here is like a god saying, if you are hunters, you should be ready to become the hunted. Then one of them said he would deal with Jin Wu. He walked over and put Jin Wu's neck around his neck. As soon as he said a word, he grabbed a knife and cut his neck like a chicken. Everyone who witnessed it there was frightened by that scene. Jin Wu started counting the numbers. No one understood when Jin Wu pulled out the knife so quickly. Jin Wu's face darkened. He held the dagger tightly in his hand. He had actually killed a flesh and blood human being. Even though it's possible to blame the system that gave the order, there's no denying the fact that he killed someone. Jin Wu couldn't run away anymore if only the strong would live. Then each stream of dark memories from before kept coming back, causing Jin Wu to erupt in a terrible murderous aura. The captain here said he didn't know what Jin Wu did just now, but he couldn't let his guard down. Then ordered his subordinate to shoot one more shot. He used his strength to release a flame from his hand and shoot it towards Jin Wu. He quickly dodged and then assassinated that guy, giving him one blow that cut off his arm and then a few dozen more blows that crushed him. The other guys saw their comrades being murdered and couldn't bear it anymore, but in the end they got the same result. Everywhere Jin Wu went, someone was killed. The attacks made it impossible for them to block a disobedient man who was about to attack Jin Wu because he couldn't believe it. But Jin Wu passed by, paralyzing him due to the dagger's effect. And then it was all defeated. Jin Wu stood coldly in front of Captain Wan. He is scared. In the blink of an eye, all of his members were killed. He shouted, "You bastard! You were hiding your skills. Was it you who dispatched the dungeon boss?" He was angry. He gathered his strength and said, "I will show that not all C-rankers are on the same level." He shouted, "Empower." Then he held his shield and aggressively advanced towards Jin Wu. He thought there was no way that after defeating 7 people in a row and a boss that Jin Wu wouldn't be exhausted. He thought Jin Wu wouldn't be able to break through his defense shield with a few sword swings with his exhausted body. A hunter who only focuses on speed has no skills that can penetrate his enhancement. But before he could attack, Jin Wu flashed in front of the captain and whispered, "Leader Wong Dong-su, you are strong. But there's one thing you don't know." Jin Wu's hand slowly pressed into the ground so hard that the ground cracked. Jin Wu continued, "I'm always leveling up ceaselessly." The captain lay struggling on the ground. He didn't know what had just happened. Jin Wu knocked him down with just one hand, pressing him to the ground. This guy can't possibly be an E-ranker. Could it be that he is a false ranker? He realized it was too late now and panicked. "Don't kill me, spare my life, I'll give you money. You can take all the magic crystals here." Jin Wu looked at him with the eyes of a grim reaper. 3 times. "You are begging for mercy from someone you tried to kill 3 times. He exclaimed in panic. "Stop. Do you think you will escape?" Jin Wu replied, "Didn't you say that no one knows what happens in this dungeon?" He shouted loudly, "You bastard! Do you know my little brother?" Then the knife came out. He finally stopped worshipping. Jinho witnessed everything and couldn't bear it anymore and vomited. He looked at Jinwoo in fear and then stood up. "Boss has been defeated. The dungeon is closing. Get out of here quickly." The system now sounds a notification. The urgent mission has been completed. Do you want to receive a reward? The reward appears. Our Jinwoo receives the Bloodlust skill. Uses 100 mana to put the enemy in a state of fear for 1 minute and can apply to many targets, and all stats are reduced by 50%. In the U.S. capital, Washington, a muscular man woke up after a long sleep. He woke up and asked in Korea, "What time is it? I had a nightmare and my eyes were wet. At a headquarters in the city, the manager called, Manager Jin Wu. He looked at his manager and asked, "What is that?" The manager reported that in a C-rank dungeon, 8 people died with only 1 B-ranker and 1 E-ranker surviving. Jin Wu seemed calm at first because those were situations that often happened in dungeons. But the manager told them not to run away so they could complete the whole dungeon. D-ranker's name, Jinho, has extremely high-end equipment, so the C-rank boss must have been defeated by him. The giant boss probably wouldn't be too dangerous for such a group, so if 8 people participated and 8 people died, it was a bit strange. Jin Wu said, "Don't beat around the bush. Tell me, if that group of people had nothing, you wouldn't have reported it to me and handled it yourself." Hearing that, he immediately said directly, "It was Jinwoo from the last dungeon incident." Hearing this name, Jin Wu became serious and said, "There are some suspicious points, but there is no need to worry so much. The magical energy measuring device was an extremely high-class item dropped from an rank monster. Double awakening is a bit unusual, but there's no need to doubt him. Checking once is enough," the manager said. "I also want to think it's a coincidence, but among them was a hunter named Wong Dong-su who died." Jin Wu asked again, "Are you talking about Hunter Wong Dong-su's brother?" he said with a serious face. "If so, I can't ignore this case." At the apartment of the Jinwoo brothers, the younger sister saw the chicken and asked, "Did Jinwoo have something fun today?" He gently said he didn't know whether to be happy or sad. The younger sister continued to ask Jinwoo over here, silently thinking, "I want to get drunk, but I can't." The system removed toxic substances due to its special ability, so even the alcohol was purified. He remembered the quest rewards from previous dungeons. Thanks to the system, even his broken foot was restored. After thinking for a while, Jin Wu suddenly remembered something and stood up and left the room. The younger sister asked her brother if he didn't eat anymore and would eat all of his portion, but Jin Wu said to eat as much as he wanted it if he wanted to get fat. In the bedroom, Jin Wu took out a bag of Rasaka venom from the system. To prove the speculation of removing the venom from the system, Jin Wu did not hesitate to drink all that poison. Just as he thought all the toxins had been removed, he activated the feature that reduces physical damage by 20% without losing strength. At the same time, Jinho opened the door and asked, "Do you know Jinho? He called you." At the cafe, Jinho and Jinwoo were sitting and chatting with each other. Jinwoo asked why Jinho was able to find his phone number. He explained that he had some connections in the guild. Jinwoo said he didn't think he would see Jinho again. But Jinho happily said because Jinwoo was his benefactor. Jinwoo now happily said Jinho sold all the magic crystals, so he also made a little money. Jin coughed quite quietly, so there was no problem at all. Jinho expressed that because those guys were planning to kill them, they were hunters so they couldn't die that easily. The Jinho here thinks Jinwoo is a psychopath who likes to kill and shouldn't have gotten involved with this person. Jinwoo asked why he wanted to meet him. Jinho sat down with a serious expression and said, "I want to form my own team." Hearing that, Jinwoo immediately refused. Jinwoo said he didn't know what Jinho wanted to form a team for, but he had no intention of playing around with rich kids. If there was nothing else, he would return. Jinho shouted, "Only 20 times? Or not? Come join the dungeon with me 19 more times." Jinwoo said, "Where? Dungeon?" Jinho confirms it and will divide the reward clearly. Jinwoo told Jinho that this was a dangerous place and not an adventure sport. He intended to create his own team. "Is there something wrong with your mind when you tell me when you see that terrible scene? Could it be that you want to become the guild master?" Jinho turned to confirm that, crying and begging Jinwoo, "As you said, I want a license to become a guild master. It's not difficult for a hunter to get that license just by participating in clearing 20 dungeons. Last time I finished it, so now I have to clear the dungeon 19 more times. Of course I will take a test, but if I'm not smart, I won't inherit the company, so I'm quite self-conscious about that." Jinho expressed that the formation of the guild was closely related to the company's problems. His father wanted to form a guild. Dungeons are often very dangerous. Magic crystals or mana crystals are just one of the few that monster corpses can make very good materials. So there's nothing useless in the dungeon. Of course, big companies are also involved in this case. Jin Wu heard that and asked, "So the hunter completes the dungeon and the company gets the reward. They are planning to become an independent corporation." Jinho correctly replied that my father wanted to hire its rank hunter and make him the guild master. My brother will be the guild deputy and run the guild under the guise of being the main sponsor. Jin Wu said that for Jinho's brother to become the guild deputy, the gap in authority was too big. Conflict between the two is inevitable. Jinho also confirmed that because his brother had not yet awakened, he was not strong enough to be the guild master. Jin Wu asked if he intended to make some money and discuss it with his father. Jinho answered correctly and then asked Jin Wu why he didn't join a party. That's the best way. Compared to going to a dungeon with high-ranking players, the reward for completing a dungeon with a high-ranking hunter is much higher. Jin Wu looked straight at Jinho and asked, "What benefits will I get if I join?" Jinho then brought up something that startled Jin Wu. On a beautiful morning, the two Jinwoo brothers were exercising at a park near their house. Jinha suddenly asked Jinwoo why did he suddenly follow her out to exercise today. She turned to look at Jinwoo and smiled. "How are you doing? Anyway, sitting still like that is not good at all." Jinwoo tells Jinha not to be left behind. While the two brothers were running, Jinwoo suddenly told Jinha, "What would you do if you had 30 billion won in your hand?" Jinha didn't understand why his brother asked that but still replied that he would save money or buy a bigger house. She hasn't thought about the rest yet, but she didn't ask why Jinwoo asked such a strange question today. Why is it 30 billion? He thought for a while without answering but sped up, leaving Jinha behind. Jinha here stood dumbfounded and confused about his brother's actions today. Going back to the previous flashback, Jinho offered 30 billion to recruit Jinwoo to go to the dungeon with him. That's the building they plan to build and use it as the main branch of the association. The estimated value is about 30 billion, but it could be higher. Jinwoo here quietly thought, spending 30 billion won just to conquer Dungeon C rank 19 times. Then he asked Jinho, "Is 30 billion a small investment to become a guild master?" Jinho confirmed that it was true. Jinwoo over here fell into deep thought and didn't know what to say. Normally, 30 billion is no reason to refuse. But Jinwoo was aware that he was a special case among all reawakening cases. No one had ever heard of hunters being able to level up and become stronger. If he continued to level up like this, he could completely become S rank or even more. If this is possible, then this 30 billion is nothing. But after thinking about it, Jinwoo told Jinho that he has the condition that when going to the dungeon, it's only him and Jinho, no one else goes with him. Jinho immediately turned pale after hearing this and said in panic, "Sir, I think I heard wrong. Just the two of us to clear the entire C-rank dungeon. Is that what you said?" Jinwoo confidently replied, "You understand what I mean." Jinho again mentioned the rule that only a group of 10 people can enter the dungeon. Jinwoo said to set a price for those who come just to take attendance, ensuring there will be a whole bunch. "We will use the same method as Wong Dong-su." Jinho continued in surprise. "But isn't it too dangerous?" Jinwoo sighed. "It's just an analogy. In other words, if I'm okay, then everyone else won't be okay." Jinwoo continued to explain. "Think carefully. If we successfully conquer 19 times without forming an attack force, then we will be the attack force that has safely overcome the remaining 19 times. Wouldn't it be better to take this to show off your father?" After a moment of enlightenment, Jinho understood everything and then started recruiting people. Back to the present. After a while of jogging, Jinwoo's daily mission was completed, but because he was engrossed in thinking, he ran over the target. Jinwoo turned around and looked behind, but didn't see Jinha anywhere. He looked at the system board and didn't understand why it continued to count the numbers after he finished. But anyway, we have to wait for Jinha, so just keep plowing the other ones. 20 minutes later, Jinwoo's daily assignments were completed. It cannot exceed 200. 200 kilometers is too much, so I only run 20 kilometers. Jinha came calling at the same time, "Brother." Yet Jinwoo's brother once again ran away like an arrow, leaving her alone. At night in Washington, USA, the muscular man we saw earlier was calling the staff and said, "Fax me the information of the 2 survivors. The number is." "A blonde girl is coming in from outside. Mr. Wong, what are you doing at this hour?" The man gently asked. "Lola, can I ask you something?" She nodded in agreement. The man asked what would happen if he killed someone in Korea. The girl was silent for a moment, then asked, "Are you serious?" Then she continued, "Korea has not yet passed the agreement on criminal hunters. Because he is a hunter from America, he will receive punishment in America and certainly won't have much trouble with the government through negotiations." He angrily gritted his teeth and said, "Very good. Some bastards killed my brother." He crushed the phone. "At least I should get to know them a little." At this point we learned that this man is the Earth rank hunter Wong Dong-su, the one who removes the corpses. He thought that all members of the group died except for 2 guys. Those 2 guys were rank D and E. My brother is not the type of person who would leave his life in the hands of weak people. They are just fillers and are not members of the group anymore. They must have set a trap to kill him. That's why he said his brother couldn't do anything without him. Wong Dong-su told his assistant, "I'm going to Korea for a trip," and asked when my schedule was free. Ms. Lola said, "Mr. Wong, if you leave suddenly like that, the meeting will be delayed." Wong Dong-su continued to ask, "So when will it be possible?" She said about 2 more months. He looked out the window thoughtfully. 2 weeks wasn't even enough to organize a proper funeral. "Okay, clear my entire calendar after that point," the assistant confirmed. He said, "More than anything, I wish those 2 bastards were still alive in 2 weeks." Somewhere after completing twice the daily quest, it turned into a hidden quest. Jin Wu held in his hand an S-rank key. He thought that after completing it, he would receive a better item than usual. But unexpectedly this S-rank item dropped out. Turns out that's the case, which is fine. Luckily, Jin Wu chose the box that was too mysteriously blessed, so he didn't receive the mysterious cursed gift box. After saying that, he inserted the key to open another space. The surrounding scenery immediately changed. Jin Wu entered inside a ruined city. The smoke and fire was like hell, so if the key opened a dungeon of the same level, then this must be a ranked dungeon. Your chances of survival will be 0. Of course, not every item opens a dungeon of the same level, but on the other hand, normally an E-rank item can easily appear in an E-rank dungeon. Jin Wu also didn't know what to do if this was a dungeon's rank. He still had that magic stone from that dungeon, so if it was urgent, he could still use it. What you need now is to do your best. From now on, Jin Wu forced himself to clear the C-rank dungeon with Jinho, so he needed to know how strong his current strength was. Suddenly, from the fire, a large 3-headed black shadow appeared, looking fiercely at Jin Wu. Turned out to be a 3-headed demon dog. It fiercely looked towards Jin Wu, who was determined to become stronger. The key allows entry into the demon castle. The rarity is S-rank. If the key opens a dungeon of the same level, the chance of survival will be significantly reduced. It's best to just level up as much as possible and enter emergency dungeons every chance you get. From B rank up, the difficulty of opening gates increases dramatically. Luckily, the higher level gates are harder to come by, so only a few S-rank gates have ever been opened, one of which is located on the Jeju Peninsula. After that S-rank gate opened, the place became a dead land. Humans could not live. Even if S-rank hunters formed a group to enter, it was not certain that they could clean it up. Get that S-rank gate. With the current small number of S-rank hunters, handling S-rank dungeons is almost impossible. For those reasons, Jin Woo's current level should avoid S-rank dungeons. The danger of S-rank monsters cannot be compared by Sao-san. The hardness was impenetrable. The strength was enough to kill in one hit, so if Jin Woo wondered how good his attack would be on monsters of that size, all because of curiosity, Jin Woo then continued using different skills to attack that 3-headed dog. Wolf Slayer skill activates. Sprint skill is activated. Movement speed increased by 30%. Jin Woo attacked faster and faster until only his illusion was visible. Although the bloodless skill has been turned on, the dog's resistance to the effect is too high. The slashing knife is still not able to promote its internal effects. Jin Woo is now a bit helpless and completely unaffected. After the attacks are buffed with titles, the difference was so great that there was no doubt that this was definitely an S-rank dungeon. The system notifies you that you are using the skill Wrath. It lasts for 3 minutes. Its stats doubled. It roared towards Jin Woo with an overwhelming stream of power. The system shows the power gap between Jin Woo and the beast. He jumped up and took the opportunity to stab it in the head, but it didn't feel any pain at all. It bit Jin Woo's arm with its large fangs. causing his arm to break. The system sounded warnings non-stop. Jinwoo's health was gradually decreasing. Jinwoo's health is below 30%, and activated durability skill reduces damage by 50%. Jinwoo, in a dangerous situation like this, the system still issues a warning to ensure the player does not die, because it would be a problem if player Jinwoo died. Jinwoo's eyes were filled with determination. You can do it. This is completely different from normal reawakening. If you are someone's puppet through this system, you will show him something beyond his imagination. Jinwoo then activated his daily quest reward recovery state, accepting a burst of light. Jinwoo returned, holding the two fangs of the Cerberus and spinning it around like a whirlwind. Next is to stab one of its eyes. A few more consecutive blows made it scream miserably. After a while of fighting, the system announced that Jinwoo had defeated Cerberus. As Jinwoo continued to level up several times, he looked at the Cerberus's body and thanked it for letting him realize where his abilities lay. Jinwoo looked at the big door ahead and said that he would die if he opened it now. Once you get stronger, you will definitely come back here. After the battle, Jinwoo obtained some useful items such as Item Arden's necklace, Item Class S, a type, Necklace Agility plus 20, Sets plus 20, Castle Door Key, Item Class A, and a Cerberus S Fang. That night at a certain coffee shop in the city, a man with messy hair was chatting with a young man. He told me that everything that happens in the dungeon stays there. The young man asked what he meant. He quickly placed a large bag and looked at him with a gloomy expression and said, "This is 2 billion. I think you probably understand what I mean. Please, Hunter, I beg you please kill those bastards." He replied slowly, "This amount plus 1 billion to deal with the remaining hunters. Is this okay with you? It's nothing for me to kill those worms you mentioned, but there are still hunters with those worms." He pointed and continued, "If you become a B-rank hunter, you will become a high-class hunter and receive several invitations from large guilds. But do you know why I still have to suffer hunger and obey the orders of the hunters?" His face looked at him wickedly. "Killing people is more interesting to me than monsters." The scene changes to a certain martial arts studio where two swordsmen are practicing sword fighting with each other. After a while of fighting, the other guy said his technique was still as great as ever. The teacher replied, "What are you talking about? If I don't exercise, this body will weaken. I know that you have been lenient with me." His sweat drenched his tired face, turned out to be Mr. Song Chae-yo. He told his disciple, "You put a little force into your fingertips because you're worried about me, right?" The other person said, "If it weren't for that accident, I would still have both hands." With a sad face, he told him to stop. It had been a while, and don't bring it up again. Suddenly, there was an urgent phone call. He lamented. The low-ranking hunters kept bothering him all the time. Telling the disciple to come here today, the other person clenched his fist. "Teacher, are you planning to postpone your retirement?" He looked at his student. "Retired? Even if I retire, I won't be able to live much longer. I want to spend the remaining strength to do useful things for the world. But I'm quite surprised why an S-rank hunter like you would want to learn swordsmanship from a low-ranker like me," he said clearly. Even though he is an S-rank, he still lacks a lot of skills. Mr. Psalm was walking on the street thinking this time it was a rank D dungeon. Because he had awakened as a hunter, no matter how good his swordsmanship was, it was not enough to kill monsters. Why did a swordsman like me awaken into a magic hunter? The swordsmanship that I have passed down through many generations is useless in dungeons. There must be some reason for this. Suddenly a shadow of a person passed by, surprising him. He turned to Sang and said, "Sorry, are you some Jinwoo?" Jinwoo turned to Sang and was also surprised to see Mr. Song Chi-yul again. He was surprised by Jinwoo's change, not even seeing any similarities compared to him before. He asked what happened to you. But when he said this, he immediately apologized that he should not have mentioned it again. But how did Jinwoo's broken leg? Jinwoo laughed and replied that when he woke up, he saw it like that. He himself didn't know what happened. He was extremely surprised and shouted, "It's really good. It's not good for a young person like you to be disabled." What a relief. Jinwoo looked at Mr. Song's arm, and with a sad expression he said, "Don't worry about it." Luckily, he had some skills, so he was able to keep his life. Although he heard that he was still alive, he couldn't believe his eyes. Jinwoo asked, "Did you come here on orders from the guild?" He confirmed it, and so did Jinwoo. Mr. Song saw his old teammates and said they had arrived. Ha ha, what day is today? All members that day were present here. Ju-hee saw Jin Wu and was surprised to see their eyes looking at each other filled with confidence. Jin Wu looked over at Mr. Kim Sang-sik, his expression sad. Mr. Song next to him remembered many unhappy things from the past. That day, he ran away leaving them behind. He was not happy to see everyone present here, especially when he pointed a knife at Mr. Song to make him a sacrifice. But Mr. Song himself had left Jinwoo behind, so he had no right to say anything. But what he didn't think about was that everyone was gathered here. Ju-hee couldn't hold back her emotions, so she said to Jinwoo, "Are you really Jinwoo? He's changed to the point that I can't recognize him anymore." Jinwoo gently looked at Ju-hee. "I'm a bit late." Ju-hee tells Jinwoo that he tried to find him. How did Jinwoo grow so much? She continued to ask. "Your leg must still be in a bad situation, right? Your legs." Ju-hee looked down at Jinwoo's legs and suddenly exclaimed, "What happened to it?" Suddenly, a group of criminals stepped out from behind a police car. So romantic, isn't it? Are you guys acting here, or is this the day the hunters go on a date? Another voice from behind rang out, "Shut up, you bastards. This is not a picnic for you." He heard that and walked towards Ju-hee. "Please take care of us today." Mr. Song couldn't help but ask, "What the hell is that?" A female employee at the guild ran over to apologize to them for being late. "Are you two workers, Sung Jinwoo and Song Chae-yeol? Let's complete the procedure." Mr. Song said, "Wait, what's going on?" She turned to look at the group of criminals walking towards the headquarters and said, "They are people who are in the process of being reformed and will join everyone in the dungeon today." Mr. Song heard that and shouted, "Reformed people, don't tell us we have to join the dungeon with criminals." She added, "Even though they are criminals, they were also hunters in the past. There are no shortage of cases where criminal hunters want to participate in Dunhyo service to reduce their sentences." Mr. Song sighed. "Oh God." The staff member apologized for the incident. Because the area was lacking hunters, she had to come up with this solution. Everyone also felt secure and didn't need to worry because this time there was a supervisory hunter, Gang T. Sick, participating. He is a B rank, and the rest are C rank. It takes 10 C rank hunters to defeat a B rank hunter. Jinwoo said, "Is something wrong?" He advised Ju-hee to withdraw from this case. She asked what about Jinwoo. He said of course he would participate. Ju-hee heard that and said, "I will also participate." After a while of waiting, everyone finally entered the dungeon. Maybe this is fate. When preparing to go inside, Gang T-Sik opened the handcuffs for the criminals. Then he approached and told Mr. Song, "I am Gang T-Sik from the surveillance department. I heard you complaining about criminals earlier, so I'll keep an eye on them." Manager Gang asked, "Who will be the commander?" Mr. Song said he would take command of this raid. He turned to ask everyone's opinion. No one had an opinion. He turned and bowed to Jinwoo. "Thank you for giving me a chance." This action made Jinwoo extremely surprised. If 11 people died in that dungeon because of you, then 6 people lived because of you. Your responsibility is the biggest when you can't protect them. He bowed his head to thank all the hunters whose lives were saved by Jinwoo. Then he turned to ask Mr. Kim again. His expression was still so gloomy. "Just do it if you like." Inside the dungeon, criminals kill monsters in an extremely brutal way. This feeling with them is wonderful. In terms of strength, everyone has some very remarkable strength. Each attack is decisive and kills all the monsters. Mr. Song, who was watching from the side, didn't know which side to call a monster. Suddenly a monster was about to sneak attack. He stretched out his arm to create a fire and immediately burned it. Next, a few more came forward. The result was still the same. The powerful fire engulfed them. Mr. Kim was surprised. "I don't think this Song Chae-yeol is a normal C-rank hunter." Mr. Song turned around and said Kim was a swordsman, but he swung his sword weakly. "So what?" Mr. Kim said that Mr. Song still maintains the demeanor of a commander, right? Mr. Song advised everyone to be proactive. After all the survivors from the dungeon incident were here. He turned to look at Jinwoo. "Has your ability increased? I usually see you only using your bare hands, but today I saw you using a dagger, so I found it strange." Ju-hee also said, "That's right, I don't have a chance to heal you. Have you been practicing martial arts lately?" Jinwoo laughed and replied, I just exercise. Mr. Song saw the situation and noticed Jinwoo's change. Ju-hee also said that Jinwoo is different from the Jinwoo she used to know. Not only has he changed in appearance, but also in demeanor. Is that really the Jinwoo I used to know? Judy still looks like she's still scared. She's even scared of goblins. Surely the psychological trauma still has a huge impact. I'm sorry to say this, but if this continues, Ju-hee will definitely quit her job. After clearing the monster camp, everyone stood in front of the cave entrance. It has 3 paths. Gang T6 said that the difficulty of this dungeon is low, so they should split up, although it is a bit dangerous. Completing the dungeon will be faster. He said he would take the criminals to the right, and if he found the boss room, inform him as quickly as possible. Jin Woo's eyes began to take effect. He recognized the boss's room, so he said, Mr. Song, go left. The eyes of the 2 strong men looked at each other, and they finally parted ways. Jin Woo thought, boss at the end of this path. The goblins didn't gain any experience. I should kill the boss to gain some experience, but most of all, he is worried about something about me. At a cave entrance, the gang supervisor asked if the criminals were all taken care of. They replied that this group was too weak to fight us. Although these goblins have only the strength and intelligence of a child, they attack in groups. Frustrating. But anyway, giving weapons to children is very dangerous, because children can also kill adults if they have weapons. In fact, countless teenagers are armed and attacking people on the other side of the world. There is no difference between humans and monsters. They are all vermin. Can you guys kill children? They did not know that they were facing death at this time. Gang T6 said that soon they will face 100 children in this dungeon right now. They were scared. What did you say? Why are there children in the dungeon? Gang continued. The children are very hungry and crave your meat. Can you kill them? They smiled confidently. Of course, kill them all. We can kill them. Over here, Mr. Kim told the fat guy that he decided to kneel down to apologize to Mr. Song. He asked the fat guy next to him, doesn't he feel guilty? When we both ran away, we hunters couldn't act normally after leaving our comrades behind like that. If we continue to be hunters, we have to get used to bowing to others, even though I don't know if he will forgive us. Even if I don't forgive, I will still apologize. The 2 of them were approaching when they suddenly witnessed an extremely horrifying scene. Supervisor Gang T6 was killing criminals. He looked at Mr. Kim's group. What? Why did you 2 appear here? Realizing that he had been discovered, he began to pull out a knife and walk towards Mr. Kim. So these 2 roads are connected. Slashed the criminal's head, and it was separated from his neck. Blood splattered. He said, meeting the boss is in the room on the left. So you don't have to waste time searching anymore. Plans must change. Jin Wu here noticed something a bit unusual. The miserable screams from the other side of the cave mouth felt a strong murderous aura. Jin Wu shouted, Mr. Song Che-yo, come back quickly. They quickly returned there. A dark shadow approached Ju-hee and was about to attack, but Jin Wu used his hand to block it. He was quite surprised at Jin Woo's speed. You asked him what he was doing. Then he began to retreat, thinking, what power is this? He told Jin Wu that you can block my attacks. You have sharp senses. Even though there is no order to kill other people, maybe we have to change. The rank B healer is quite annoying, so we'll eliminate her first, but I think we'll have to change our plans a bit. Ju-hee was surprised by Gang T6's actions. What is that? Why him? The supervisor said with murderous eyes. I will kill you like them. Mr. Song heard that and shouted, wait, why would a member of the association do this? Jin Wu looked behind him and saw Mr. Kim lying barely alive in a corner. He shouted to Mr. Kim saying sick. He told Ju-hee to heal him. The more he spoke, the more urgent he was to heal him. Ju-hee team came to heal Mr. Kim. He weakly said, no, you can't save me. Stop it, I've lost too much blood. Jin Wu shouted loudly, you have to live. You promised your family. You must live at all costs, so that I can hate you. Mr. Kim sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't want to apologize like this. I want to bow my head and apologize to you, but if I bow my head now, I will die. Mr. Sung, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. A satisfied smile appeared on Mr. Kim's face. He finally truly left this world. Jin Wu was silent and angry. Why did you kill him? He replied, "Who knows, maybe it's because of the monsters." One day the gate opened and monsters rushed into the hunter's place. That often happened. I think it's a good story like the hunters being massacred by goblins, but I think it needs to be changed a bit. The criminals broke free and tried to escape after killing all of them. They attacked me who was fighting the boss. But Gang T-Sick, a B-rank hunter, was beyond their capabilities, so I was the only survivor. What do you think? Will they believe this story? Jin Wu was angry, then Mr. Song spoke. No, his opponent is not you but me. Mr. Song here thought to himself. He is a B rank, so C rank like me cannot win. Not to mention he's also an assassin. I can't keep up with his speed. Mr. Song then picked up the sword next to Mr. Kim's body. Let me borrow your sword. The assassin's defensibility is very weak. Who knows what will happen if he chooses one of his attacks? Mr. Song held the sword and approached Gang T-Sick. It's been a long time since I used a sword to face a human. He told Ju-hee to buff his physical strength. She quickly buffed Mr. Kim's strength. He thought that he would get so close to him that he would not be able to dodge the attack. The gang here laughed. What is this magician doing? Physical damage buffs for mages are pretty useless, but right now I'm a swordsman. What Mr. Kim needs to do now is to clearly know the difference in physical strength and speed between himself and the gang assassin. Even protecting Miss Ju-hee is like attaching a car engine to a bicycle and trying to pedal it as hard as possible. It can also be like a steep slope. If you can't control yourself and keep trying to turn, you will lose your life. Gang T-Sick quickly walked towards Mr. Song and was about to slash him, but he stopped him. He looked full of confidence and said, "It's normal for magicians to be at a disadvantage against assassins. Picking up a sword is a good idea. But in the end, you are still just a magician. Your physical strength can't even reach D rank, so what's the difference in holding a weapon?" Regardless of what he said, Mr. Song decisively cut that evil assassin in half in one blow, but in reality it was just an illusion he created. He appeared in another place and said that Mr. Song moved quite well despite being buffed, but he felt that he was someone who had practiced a lot in swordsmanship.